Hello. I'm laughing. I can't even do my intro. I've got the numbers all wrong. It is week 210. Pretty sure that's right. And right, first of all, before I forget, mug. John Wright. You're not a mug. I mean, thanks for the mug, John Wright. I don't think you watched, to be honest, but anyway, thank you very much. Nice size mug. I like it. It is a, what is that? I think that's a hawksbill. Could be a green. If I was diving, I'd say it's a hawksbill. But yeah, nice size cup. Thank you very much. I like blue mugs. Very good. Right. So I guess that brings me on really. I met John, who gave me the mug at Love to Read, which was Saturday just gone. And Paul Longhurst, who arranges that, does an amazing job. I know there's a team of people around him, but they all do a fantastic job. AAC banging as always. Always good to see the guys from AAC. And yeah, it was a good day. And I met some people there who I haven't seen for years. And I actually met the guy, Joe, who kind of inspired me to do this tank in my garage, because he had a 10-foot tank, SPS dominant tank in his garage that I saw probably 6 years ago, and it was my kind of inspiration for this build. So he got out of the hobby just as I kind of started this build, and good to see that he's come back in with I think he's come back in with one of these, a Red C170 actually. But I'm pretty sure he will probably upgrade at some point. He's a big stickhead. So yeah, really good to see him. So yeah, great event, good day. Right, what else? Oh, we had a power cut. So I had a power cut this week, and so I was just looking. I've already fed the fish. I've done this classic whole thing, and the mic didn't work, so I'm doing it all again. Yeah, so I had a power cut. I was sitting in the garden having some lunch. Check your phone as you do when you have a tank. It's a trillion times a day. Just almost subliminally, really. I just picked it up, checked, and went no power. It come up with you get a tile of the DOS dose and gives you like a picture of it, and it just said in red letters no power. And I was like, weird. So I walked around, and lo and behold, all this part of the fish room was completely black. Obviously my auto switching back up down there worked fine, so you know all the important stuff was still running, so the return pumps and the protein skimmer, etc., that was all running. All the lights, everything were all off up here, and I've got no idea why, to be honest. So if you remember months ago, I was having an issue kind of between 3 and 4 o'clock at night. That whole circuit on that side of the fish room used to go out, and I'd come in the morning and it'd all be black and the lights wouldn't come on, the pumps were all off, and it was a pain. And I thought it was the fridge, because it was a very old fridge. The fridge is still under there, it's just not plugged in because I don't actually use it for anything refrigerated. It's just a cupboard basically. And it kind of fixed the issue, because that's been months now since I've had any electrical issues really. And yeah, then just that one afternoon, everything went off, and I've got no idea. I did think maybe now the weather's warmer, the air conditioning's kicking in a lot more. Maybe it was just a power draw issue. The only thing I've changed really is I added the Abyss pump onto that sort of side of the fish room, but that only pulls probably 100 watts peak, 120 maybe when it's running at 90%. It ramps from 50 to 90. You know, probably average is 80 to 90 watts. And very low watt pump. So I can't imagine that doing it, but I don't know. I don't know what it is really. But just as a precaution, I have removed the power to the aircon over to this side, and it's been fine since. So I mean, the other thing it could be is I came out a couple of days ago to feed the fish, and the soul hole tank just went bananas, hit the top of the tank, like the surface of the water, and just caused a massive wave, basically drenched me. And it went, I mean, it hit this wall, so it went right from that right over, some of it went into this tank, it was just, I was like, Christ. I went back in, my wife's gone, did you fall into the tank or something? I was absolutely drenched. But so I did think that it's not beyond the realms of possibility that something could have got splashed and tripped, but then I wouldn't expect it to come back on after. But it is something I am getting more aware of, actually, as the fish get bigger. It's not something I anticipated in the build when I initially started. I'm glad. My power supplies are probably 4 foot, like a metre and a bit above the tank. So I'm hoping that they don't get splashed. But yeah, it's not something I thought, it's just not something that was on my radar when I kind of set the thing up, that the fish would cause that amount of splashing above the surface of the water. But they do. So I guess that's just because some of them are very big and they get very excited when the food comes in. So the other progress I have made is, if you look somewhere, I've got the sump under there running. So it's filled up and circulating. So it is now part of this system. So I did what did I do? I think I did the final bit of plumbing last week, and then I flushed it. I flushed it all through. I cleaned it all out with RO water, and I flushed the waste through with some like salt water into a jug. It did have some little bits in it which I don't really want to get in the tank. And then I filled the whole sump up. So I think it holds about 180 litres in total. So I filled it up with fresh salt water right to the limit where it was going to start going down the drain and back into the tank. And then I just turned the valve down the bottom and circulated it through with existing water from this tank. And it's kind of, so that new fresh salt water has trickled back into the tank, and it's going at a very slow rate. I've not seen any effects, so hopefully that will just sit there now, ready. What I think I will probably do is, somewhere I've got a couple of spare boxes of the D&D rock, which is what all of this is in this tank. I bought 10 boxes, I think, and I've got like a box and a half, 2 boxes left over. So I will just smash the big pieces up, and I'll just put in, 1 or 2 pieces each week for the next 6 weeks or so, just to build it up. I'm definitely going to put the tamarin wrasse that is down there into this tank, because I've decided getting under there is a pain anyway. It's the whole reason I don't really want anything under the tank. I certainly don't want anything under there which I've got to maintain to any degree. So I will not put the fish under there, then I've got to worry about trying to feed it. And I will put the corals in there. I won't put any sand in there because the wrasse will be in there, so I won't need sand. I'll put the Nasaria snails that are in there down there, and I think there's a peppermint shrimp, which I might just leave him in that sump. He'll probably get enough. I don't know, I might put him in there. I don't know if the wrasse are taken or not, but yeah. And then once the corals are in there, I can put the red sea light over it, and I can then move on to the next stage, which is taking down the Royal Exclusive tank, which is where they all are at the moment, and then I can get another crate and expand the sump. So where I'm currently at the moment is I've made the situation worse before I can make it better, because the whole point of expanding the sump is, if the return pumps go off and the tank drains and the skimmer drains, it's going to overflow basically, because the sump is not big enough for the capacity, because I keep adding stuff. So I've added something else, so I've made it even worse. So if the returns go off before I fit the new expansion downstairs, I'm going to have quite a hefty flood. But, touch wood, 4 years, I've got the battery back up. I've never had a flood on the sump so far, so now I've said it, I'll be sitting there next week explaining why I had a flood. But yeah. So yeah, that's where we are really. So, and in long term, I think when I get the other crate sorted down there, and that's kind of plumbed and how I want it, I can then put a small tank above it. I'm going to go with a longer, shallower tank, and then the corals that are currently in that sump will go down into that tank. And then if I get any spawn from here at any point, I can use that tank for the frags as they grow out. And then this sump under here, I don't want to do anything with that because I do not want to be crawling on my knees, worrying about trying to service stuff, trying to feed stuff. You know, just I don't want a light on it. So once the corals come out, the light will come off. And I think actually with the ambient light that it gets, it's going to be perfect for just having it as a cryptic sump. So I will put more rock in it as time goes on slowly, and hopefully I will get a nice build up of sponges and stuff just to sit in there and do some filtering of the water for free basically for me. I've got some nice sponges actually growing in the sump of this tank, and I may seed that with some of those sponges. They're nice, like a red sponge. It's not come up into display because some sponges get a bit invasive, so I just wanted to check what it was like, but it looks pretty good. So yeah, so I might try that. At the end of the day, it's just going to be another body of water, and it will just be cryptic, and I don't want to ever have to, I mean, maybe once a year I will siphon it if it gets tons of detritus in it, but other than that, I don't want to add to my daily, weekly, monthly, yearly maintenance schedule by adding stuff. So that is the plan. So it's getting there at a glacial pace. I will admit it's not quick, but yeah. What else? Oh, I have literally just fitted my new power supply. So I have 20 lights over the tank and they are all working. So if you remember, I added an extra light down that end because it was just a little bit dimmer. The lights just end shorter than they do that end, and I just noticed that end of the tank was just a bit dimmer to the eye. I mean, the corals are growing fine, but I had a spare light, so I put an extra XR15G6 on the end, and what else have I done? Oh yeah, and I had a power. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so I put that light on the end of the tank, and I didn't have a power supply for it, which was weird. I never found it. I've got to be honest. I never looked really. I had a quick cursory look, and if it doesn't jump out and go, "I'm here," then I just go, oh, I don't know what that's got. So I bought another one. So yeah, so that's on, and I just literally have one delivered. So I've just put that back onto there. So when the power went out, the lights don't come back on very well. So all the power went out, battery backup worked fine, come in, I have to unplug and plug in the Aquabus cable to the MXN module in order for all the lights to kick back onto the schedule, which is set, otherwise they go onto the fallback schedule on the Mobius, and I don't like the Mobius app, I want them on this, it's just a pain. So if you look there, all I get is a massive list of missing, so I know they're not connected back to the MXN, so I just have to reboot that. Which, I mean, it's not a big issue if I'm here, but the point is if I'm not here, it's just a pain. And I don't know why, I'm trying to think why I unplugged the light on my spawning tank, and I can't remember why. So I did all that, rebooted it, they all come back in and I was fine. I still had a dead light because I didn't have the power supply for it. And then for some reason, I unplugged this light on the power supply. And I can't remember why, but anyway. So I did that classic, right? I mean, I don't do anything with this tank really. I feed the fish. I do a water change once a week, which I will be doing in about 15 minutes. So the tank itself probably gets 100% water change a month because it's easy to do because it's a tiny tank. And I just do a full NIOS bucket weekly. I don't run, the skimmer broke if you remember, so I run nothing on that tank other than live rock. It's got a return pump, 2 pumps in the tank, and it does 5 mil of ultra reef a day, and that is it. That's all I do, and I just leave it. But so the light is on the schedule from the apex, you know, the sunrise, sunset, lunar cycle, all of that malarkey. So I don't touch it, and for some reason, and I can't recall why, I unplugged the light, and lo and behold, I plugged it back in, and it didn't come back on. So as you do in those situations, you say a few choice words, and you just think, so what, is the power supply broken? And then I rummaged around and found the power supply, because it was tucked down the back, and it is not the conventional power supply that you get with the Radeon lights. So I have no idea where that power supply comes from, because they use Meanwell power supplies. This is some, looks like a cheap Chinese knockoff thing. So I thought, oh, right, so that's obviously just broken. So I scavenged a power supply from one of these lights, put it over here, plugged it in, working fine. So that was good. So I looked at the power supply that I've taken off. You know, when you unplug them from the thing they're powering, then the light stays on the power supply for ages. So I waited for the light to go out on the actual power supply, and then I thought, I'll just try it on the light where I've just took the power supply from to put over here, and I plugged it into the light over there, and it came on. So I don't know what that was about. So I just caused myself 30 minutes of moving stuff around for no reason, apparently. So that power supply is now over there, but I have bought the proper, like, Meanwell power supplies for the lights, and they've literally just come like 10 minutes ago. So I've just plugged it in. So I now have full complement of lights in the fish room with the right power supplies. So hopefully that is that. So yeah, I think that's about it. So lights are sorted, power went out, no idea why. Sump is done. Yeah, I will see you in the next one.